Traders, how are you? Marcello, founder of the Day Trading Academy, co-founder of Speed Up Trader. Today, we're going to be talking about where to invest $1,000 in a recession right now. Now, first thing I want to let you know, obviously for educational purposes only, I'm not telling you guys, I'm not a trading advisor, we don't trade people's money, so make sure you guys do the right studies that you need to, do the best things for you. These are some of the opportunities that I see right now, okay? We're in a situation that is unprecedented in what's happening with the pandemic of the coronavirus. If you're watching this video in the future, this may, in my opinion, come back next year in the fall, because if you guys don't remember or don't know, the Spanish flu, which killed, an amazing number, over 5%, 10% of the population in the world in 1918, if I'm not mistaken, literally lasted 2 or 3 seasons. And this might actually happen right now with the coronavirus. While there are great numbers, there's a study that was done in California and Los Angeles, if you guys want to look it up, that, the number of people dying from the disease actually is not as high as what they thought they would be. So it's not any worse than the flu pretty much, but make sure you take precautions. Now, we're in a situation where you might have lost your job, you have a little bit of savings, you are, maybe still making money. I think having an online job where you work online and you're not able to have any employees or a boss or having to worry about selling things to people is something that's very, very important right now. That's why I always talk about trading as one of the best jobs out there, as long as you can learn how to do it properly, right? Because obviously, if you don't do it properly, you're going to literally lose your shirt and go bankrupt. But it can be learned, right? It's a game of probabilities. So right now, there's things are going haywire. I just did a video on oil, how it's affecting that. If you guys have any questions or comments about what's happening, leave them there in the comments with the hashtag #AskMarcello. I'll pull those questions for you. Don't forget to subscribe as well. And if you have somebody maybe that needs help knowing where to invest or maybe what to do with some direction, don't forget to send them, share the video so they can hear this out as well. Now, one of the things that I'm looking at long term, and this will play out, we'll see who's right. We never really escaped the situation of the 2008-2009 crisis. Now, if you guys don't know, in 1999, there was a hedge fund that collapsed. I can get you guys the name there in the comments if you guys want, that they bailed out. Wall Street essentially bailed it out. 2008-2009, Wall Street went bankrupt and the governments bailed it out. And now we have the coronavirus in 2020, end of 2019, 2020, and now the government is printing even more money and putting even more debt to be able to try to save the economy. In my opinion, I think this is a bit over-exaggerated, because in my opinion, I think they're trying to take down Trump to not have him win re-election, even though I do still think he will win re-election. Remember, I never want to get political here, so whether you love Trump or hate Trump, that's on you guys. If you love Obama, hate Obama, that's on you guys. This is just what I think is going to happen. Me personally, I don't like government at all, because I think they just steal our money and they don't do the best thing that's for us. But the problem that we have right now is we have a situation where the government is continuing to tack on more debt at a more serious pace. For example, if you didn't know, Obama added more debt to the national debt in the country than all the previous presidents combined. And now Trump, with the coronavirus, even the Democrats as well, it's both parties, right? They're literally taking it to a whole nother level. Now, the problem with this, and the reason why I'm explaining this to you, is because we're going to have serious financial consequences, and there are going to be very lucrative opportunities. In times of crisis, there's always going to be an opportunity to make money, right? There's more millionaires created in the Great Depression than at any other time in the history of the world. And as Warren Buffett always says, remember that you want to be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. If you guys remember, record highs, we had a situation where we had 10 years of economic expansion, which is not normal because we always have an economic contraction every 4 to 6 years, right? I got to give the world famous trader Jim Rogers credit for that, and I looked it up. He's the one that I heard it from. And so we're in a situation where we need to have an economic contraction in order to kind of to get the bad stuff out of the system. That's the way the economy works. In boom times, businesses that shouldn't really work, and then they close during the bad times, and the good companies continue, and then we have, that contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion. We have a situation where the governments and the world kind of expects everything to be great all the time, and nobody should feel pain. It's kind of part of our culture now. So if you're looking to invest in things right now, what's suppressed at the moment are things like silver and gold miners, things like that. Now, remember, this is for just, educational purposes, and a lot of what I'm doing with my own personal investing strategy now to wealth preservation and all that. So if you're looking to invest something like $1,000 to be able to have the maximum benefit, if we continue to have the situation with the debt, which we are continuing to have, eventually that debt is going to have to be paid off. And we're already in a situation where the dollar has lost 80% of its value relative to something like gold and silver, for example. And just in general, the dollar has literally lost its value. If 80%, 90%, if I'm not mistaken, it's 80. If you guys can look it up on Google if you want, or correct me if you guys know the exact number there in the comments. Over, the last... how many years? 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. So whenever this has been studied in history about what empires do and what economies do at the end of their reign. The Romans did it. The British did it. So we never think when we're in it, when we're living it, that we're ever going to see the end of the American empire. But if we have a situation where we continue to tack on all this debt, eventually it's going to have to be either paid back or we're going to have hyperinflation so we don't have to pay it back. What I think is going to happen is the latter. What I believe is going to happen is we're going to have this recession. They're going to tack on more debt to save everybody. And then we're going to have a situation where everybody else, the only reason why the United States is able to live the life that it lives is because everybody else borrows it money. Japan is another situation, third largest economy in the world, because most of their debt is internal. But debt is debt. And if you look in your personal finances, eventually that has to be paid off. Eventually, right? Now, we're in a situation where the gold and silver, if you look historically, has always been a great measure of a hedge against inflation or hyperinflation or the value of things like the dollar. That's why gold right now, it's worth around $1,700, $1,800, not $20 like it was, let's say 100 years ago, right? Or 50 years ago, right? The price of oil, the price of oil and silver continue to go up. So in my opinion, and what I'm doing personally, for example, again, remember, this is for educational purposes only, is I would definitely look at some of the silver miners that have an extreme potential to go to the upside, and they're great volatility as well. If you guys want to trade them, that's fine. Remember that if you have less than $25,000 when it comes to trading stocks, they have the PDT rule, which limits your ability to day trade. You can only place 3 trades in a matter of 5 days, if I'm not mistaken. But if you want to kind of invest in something and forget about it, I would definitely have you look at some of these silver miners. Now, one of the advantages is they have an extreme upside potential. If you look at, I did a video recently, if you guys are listening on the podcast as well, about how I'm trading silver and how there's a natural floor when it comes to the silver miners, which is about anywhere between $14, $15, which is essentially the mining price of silver. So we have on one side the U.S. government continuing to tack on more debt, which may or may not be paid back. Worst case scenario, we have a situation where we have hyperinflation, et cetera, et cetera. If we don't have that, we still have a situation where there is demand, industrial demand. Silver goes into your cell phones, into your laptops, into all kinds of things, and we're literally running out of it. So there's a situation where there's a lot more demand rather than supply, and you obviously want to do a little bit of research. I don't want to give you the exact miners I'm investing in, but I would highly recommend a lot of these silver miners due to the fact that they're literally only 50 cents, some of them, $1, $2, $3. Now, I do want to let you know that obviously when you're investing, it is risky. You can lose your money, so you want to make sure that you do good research, because a company can literally just open up tomorrow and say, hey, I got a silver mine in Mexico, and they literally have nothing, and it can go bankrupt tomorrow, just like anything else, right? we have the advantage. I've been living in Latin America for the last 6 years. I've been in the markets now, whether it's learning or teaching for, if I'm not mistaken, about 20 years now. And I think that it's important to understand that we have the advantage in the U.S. where we have a lot less scams and things like that, but obviously they still exist. So make sure that you do the research. But the upside potential for silver, due to the fact that the direct direction that we're heading in the global economy and also just the literal demand. For example, right now when I'm recording this video, the 22nd of April, you can't find silver coins anymore because there's so much demand out there with so many people buying them. And if you look at the recent crash that just occurred, which was literally a few weeks ago, due to the first oil crash, let's say, silver got down to $12. It went from, if I'm not mistaken, $16, $17 to about $12, and it's already recovered back to $15. And that's that natural floor that I'm talking about. Now, I was thinking about doing a video about investing in physical gold and silver. I recently bought quite a bit of the physical silver. That obviously will assist you guys as well. But I'm amazed that people don't look at, in Rome, in the times of the Roman Empire, they obviously had the same thing where they had the military and everything else, and they paid with actual gold coins and silver coins. Well, they started eventually to mix the 100% silver coins with other materials like nickel, for example, or other materials. And then instead of it being 100% of silver, it was 90% of silver, and then 80% of silver, and then 50% of silver, because eventually, empires and governments, they get to the point where they just get carried away. And just like our government thinks that, we're always going to be the world empire, I don't think we're going to have a situation where we're a superpower anymore because of the weight of the debt that we're accumulating. I do see, this is obviously best case, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, the dollar would maybe collapse in about 5 to 7 years. We're talking about around 2026. So anywhere between 2024, if this accelerates very fast, all the way to 2030 at the latest, if, we get our budget back to balance, which I don't think it will. So it's a great volatility. You have great movement in between, but then at the same time, if you just want to put it in and forget it, you'll see great long-term growth potential in that. And again, just want to stress, for educational purposes only, we're not trading advisors. Because obviously, the feds, they want to make sure we tell you guys that as well. So take a look at it, right? Take a look at silver. Never invest in anything that you don't understand. So start learning. This time in the coronavirus, it's a great time for you guys to kind of get in there. You have the time to read and learn. If you want me to do a lot more of these videos, I will. I haven't been uploading a lot of videos on the English side because we've been so busy on the Spanish and the Portuguese sides for all the traders down there that we have, but I'll be happy to go ahead and do it if you guys ask for it. So don't forget, #Ask Marcello for all the questions. Don't forget to subscribe here to the channel, and we'll see you next time.